Hey, yo, this is a new episode of the All Time Podcast. Listen to these guys, they're awesome.
Welcome to a new episode of the All Time Podcast, the Rap ESPN. And I am your host, the visionary, the revolutionary, and the architect, with my co-host and his cat this evening.
That I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Derek.
You're in a bad mood?
I'm in a great mood.
So you don't have an intro, you just call
I
yourself...
don't need one.
Call yourself Flip Phone Derek.
I don't need an intro. If you don't know who I am, you need to revisit the other episodes and find out that I'm truly the messiah of podcasting. I'm not going to announce myself anymore.
All right.
That.
And your other co-host that is not here this evening, unfortunately, because he is under the weather and he is not feeling so good.
And we're not talking about American weather. We're talking about Canadian weather. That's rough. When you're under Canadian weather, you're sick. You're like beyond sick. He was sick the last time we saw him,
which was 3 weeks ago.
And he's still sick.
And that guy never gets sick. The last time I saw Malenko sick was probably maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
To the point where I was so worried about him that I had called 911 so they could go to his house and check up on him.
Yeah, I guess he just needed sleep.
Yeah, that's what happens. Derek, we are here this evening to talk about two albums. Actually, no, I'm a liar. We are here this evening to talk about two 7-song EPs. And
do you want to get the elephant out of the room right away?
The pink elephant.
Don't understand that reference. Pink Panther, maybe. Do you want to get it out of the way right away?
Yeah, let's get it out of the way right away. You want to start the conversation of the pink elephant in the room?
No, because you're the one that has a strong opinion, and I'm just here to oppose that opinion. Wonderful. But I'd like you to pose your opinion first.
So we're going to talk about two EPs from 5 different artists who we respect, we love, and we've reviewed and shown our appreciation for on the All Time Podcast numerous times. My pink elephant in the room is that I am fed up of 7-song EPs, and I'm fed up of 2026 just continuously getting EPs. We've released numerous episodes this year, and I feel like we're just reviewing EPs or quote unquote shorter albums. Now, when you get an album from Streetz and Boldy James, I'm excited. I'm expecting a full-length album of, here, let's say, a minimum of 10 songs from 2 elite MCs. If I'm going to get an album from a Boldy James and a Ransom, I want 10 songs. If I'm going to get an album from Curren and Larry June completely produced by The Alchemist, I want 10 songs at a minimum. Is that too much to ask for? Now, before I throw it over to you, we are fans of these artists, right? We anticipate music. Yes, I'm not going to be that guy and say I'm not grateful when 2 artists that I want to hear together come together. But 7 songs, 17 minutes, 23 minutes. Like, fuck. Like, how can I invest in that? We've said it numerous times on this podcast. Like, the Ransom and Boldy James, like, I want to invest my energy. I want to purchase the project. I want to buy the physical. But do you know how much that goes into all of that? Like, if I'm going to buy the CD, it's going to be $50 USD plus a $25 shipping on there. I'm paying $80 to $100 Canadian on 7 songs, 17 minutes. to me, I find that ridiculous. Now, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the music. I appreciate the collaboration. I appreciate all that. But can we just have a bit more? I feel like we're getting sometimes a quick project here. Let's just do it because the fans want to hear it. And then it's just like, okay, since it's an EP, let's just place that to the side. We did it. It's fine. We can move forward now. And that's where I get my frustration from, because these two projects that we're going to talk about tonight, these are projects that I love to listen to. I love to put it on. But when I was listening to them the last 2 days, I literally listened to them 20 times each. And it literally only took me 5 hours.
Yeah.
You know, like, again, the investment, the energy, the time. How do you feel? Because I think a lot more of the artists that you gravitate towards have put out EP projects, Ransom, Rome Streetz, you know. So like, how do you feel on the outside looking in, coming from a genre of music where I don't even think EPs really exist anymore?
Yeah, no, I disagree with you. I like EPs. And for a multitude of reasons. I also come from the a little bit more of the metal community, and EPs are fairly common in the metal community. Yeah, they're fairly common, especially for new bands. But they're also common in terms of like, hey, what are we working on? That's like not necessarily not album material, but like what's a quick little thing? What's a fun little project that we want to release before we actually dive in to the big project? And what a lot of the artists do is that they actually release an EP as to like kind of like a warm-up session, like a practice. You understand? They sort of like, hey, this is what we've been working on, so on and so forth. You see the response, you put it out for your fans, you put it out for people who want the content. It's short, it's sweet, it's easy to get your head around. You could listen to it a whole bunch of times. We're going to get into that other aspect of it too. But I think it's just fun. It's two artists getting together. They're like, hey, do you want to do like a quick little project together? It's kind of like when we hang out. When we hang out and we go for lunch or something. It's quick. It lasts like an hour and a half, and then we're back to doing our regularly scheduled programming. I kind of like it. They get together for a short amount of time. They release a little project. It's fun. They had fun doing it. They release it for everyone. I'd rather them release an EP, 7 songs in 18 minutes, than to have an Instagram post of them hanging out together, and then you're wondering like, oh, are they releasing a big project? Are they releasing a big album? And then you have a big album, it's like 45 minutes, and then it disappoints. At that point, give me a more concentrated format of that album. Give me 7 songs, rather than maybe 7 songs is all they had. You understand? Maybe they didn't have 12, 13, 14, 15 songs to put together on a project, and rather than dilute a longer project, they're like, you know what? Let's make it impactful. Let's have it be 7 songs, 18 minutes, 19 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. And that way it's just banger after banger. I like it. Also, we're in a time where people's attention spans are short. Not a lot of people have the patience to sit through 45 minutes, 50-minute, hour albums. People are just consuming super quick. Everything in life right now is super quick content, shorts, and all that kind of jazz. That plays into that. And also, you mentioned it yourself. And I'm not saying that that's why they're doing it. But if I had a suspicion, that's what it would be, is you just said so yourself. You listen to these projects like 25 times and it took you 5 hours. You just put a project like this on and it just repeats over and over and over and over again. And guess what? They get revenue based on those listens. Maybe after a 45-minute project, 50-minute project, you're ready to move on to the next one. But if you're putting something on like this and it plays 2, 3, 4 times, that's 2, 3, 4 times the views.
Yeah, I get it.
There might be money involved in this as well.
It just feels rushed. It just feels like, hey, let's just throw this together really quickly.
I disagree. I don't think either of those two projects feel rushed. It doesn't feel rushed. There's no lazy verse. There's no lazy production. There's
none of that.
Lazy compositing or anything like that. We're gonna get in depth on the albums. A lot of these new EPs are produced at a very, very high level. They contribute in a very, very high level. In my head, I'd rather have this than have nothing. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. If you're working on something and you did something fun, you collaborate with someone, I want to hear what you're doing. I want to hear what you're doing. I don't want to wait a year for you to drop a project and then have that anticipation of what is it going to sound like, because as you build up that anticipation, you could only either be like satisfied or disappointed. It's those are the only two. But if you release a few little projects, I think it just makes it more interesting. It keeps you relevant. It makes more people listen to your music. Maybe they'll have more listens that way than releasing two big albums, when on the two big albums there's like two bangers each. Now you have 7 songs. It's short, it's sweet. People can just revisit this easy. That's an easy, like, you're going to work, you put this in the car, by the time you get to work, it's done.
I agree with you on that. The drive to work, I'm only 10 minutes away from work, but again, I'm always left wanting more. I'm always left wanting 3 more songs just to feel like it's a full project. Derek, I collect music. I spend numerous amounts of my money on purchasing these products for physicals. So if I'm gonna buy the album, I can't justify spending that amount of money on buying a project that is 17 minutes, 20 minutes, 23 minutes. I just can't justify it. To me, it doesn't make sense. As much as I want it to make sense, it doesn't. Maybe if I was living in the States where it would have only costed me $50, but again, at that point, it's still $50 as a going to the record store and spending $10, $15, $20 and getting that small little project and feeling happy that you spent that much money on it.
But that's the problem. Like I said, you wouldn't have the problem buying the EP if that was the cost of it. But it's not the cost of it. That's the thing. If you did live in the States, it'd be worth it. It genuinely would. And I understand that, like, there's probably money to be made in this. I understand that there's a cost associated with producing vinyls and producing CDs and shipping them and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. I understand some of these artists don't have. Listen, they make money, but they don't make,
it's show money,
like
and
they don't make Ed Sheeran types of money.
No, but they make their money off their concerts and off selling their merch.
But that's the thing. We're in Canada. Not only is our dollar weaker than the American dollar, but then it's
horrendous.
With the geopolitical situation going on, importing stuff into Canada is vastly more expensive. You got to pay for that, or they got to pay for that. I understand.
I still want my money's worth. I
think what we genuinely need is someone in Canada to that owns a music store or a record store to strike a deal with these artists to get the stuff imported in here, so that way we at least have a way to get these albums, even though the album is $40, $45, $50, whatever it is. At least we don't have to pay the shipping. You understand? Like, that might be a little bit more worth it. But it's not the case.
Look, let's see. Let's see. I don't want to downgrade these 2 projects by speaking about this whole EP situation, because there was great work put into this, and these are caliber MCs and producers. So let's get into it. The first one being Rome Streetz and Boldy James with their EP Manhunt.
Yeah.
When you hear those 2 names together, that's complete excitement. Coming from being a fan of Rome Streetz and every album that he puts out, being a fan of Boldy James, even though Boldy James is very redundant with the music that he puts out, I was excited to hear these 2 together, these 2 collaborate together on a project. And at first, I wasn't sold right away, but after numerous listens, I got comfortable with the project. I adapted to the project of it being short. The one thing to me on this project that sticks out, and that is Nicholas Craven's production. Nicholas Craven produced, like Biggie did, Nicholas Craven produced Only One, and Nicholas Craven produced Manhunt. Those 3 songs in itself are amazing. Hearing Rome Streetz rap on those Nicholas Craven soulful type of beats with, that classic Nicholas Craven samples. Like, it was amazing to hear Rome Streetz on there. And that's what stood out to me on this project. And yeah, I would have wanted a lot more back and forth between Boldy and Rome. It was more of a verse, end of song, or a verse, like there was no back and forth type thing.
Yep.
But those 3 tracks to me are the standout on here. Nicholas Craven does an amazing job. Also, the samples are clear. His production is clear. Their vocals are clear. Just super well done. One other thing that got me super excited with the album was the intro. The Hateful Eight conversation between Kurt Russell and Samuel L. Jackson about the hangman.
Yeah.
I watched that movie last night. That's one of my top 5 favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. I think it's one of the most underrated Quentin Tarantino movie. But
if
that
there's
just
such a thing.
There is actually. It's one of the worst. Well, not worst, but least rated of his movies.
Least highly rated.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but then it's like it's kind of like ranking Mickey Diamond albums from like 2023. He released 5 albums. You have to pick a number 5.
True.
You know, you got no choice. They're all good, but one of them has got to be number 5. You got no choice.
Look, I love the way the album ends with Manhunt. You get more of like a trap type of beat.
What a fucking beat.
And
God damn.
Like when I saw that it was Nicholas Craven and Dirtwork, because that's the other producer on this track, I was just like, wow, Nicholas Craven could give us everything. Nicholas Craven has bags that we've never even seen before, right? And you know what? Being able to work with another producer onto the same track, just having that mesh of different sounds was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And hey, Rome Street, man, fuck. He comes for people's necks when he raps. It could be a very smooth type of beat. He's going to be razor sharp on all of them. He's just that MC. And Boldy James, as much as I think I've really been tough on his last few projects, I thought he did well on here.
Yeah.
So to me, it's super enjoyable. I just, again, wish there was 3 extra songs to really call this, a next caliber type of album.
Yeah, I genuinely enjoyed this project. I'm perfectly happy with the 7 songs, the 18-minute runtime. Like I said, for me, I could put this on repeat. It doesn't get heavy at any point. The pacing of the album is really good. The production's clear. The mixing is really good. They both came correct on this. They both had really great verses, really great bars. Manhunt is by far the standout on this. It is the catchiest of the song. It's the heaviest, bass heavy song. It's the one for me with the most replay value. It's also the one that I could give this to anyone who doesn't listen to hip hop, and they'll gravitate to that beat. It just has that catchy kind of like mainstream beat, which from a guy like Nicholas Craven, that's really good. Also, just shout out to the cover. I absolutely love the cover of this album. It's like a Prius and like penguins in a Prius with guns. I absolutely fucking love that. Put that on a t-shirt. Please do. Like, yeah, the intro is really good, as you mentioned. Hateful Eight intro, that was really nice as well. However, and I will say this, and I'll meet you kind of like halfway on that regard, is if you're going to release an EP and you're going to release 7 songs, 18 minutes, I don't want an intro. I don't give a fuck. I want a song. I want a song. I don't want a 34-second intro. I understand the concept of the intro in hip hop. I do. In metal, we don't really have intros, or where we have intros, they're kind of like musical intros to kind of like let you know what the album is going to be. I have yet to wrap my head around certain hip hop intros. It feels like sometimes it's a lot of snippets from movies or interviews or stuff like that, and I truly have a difficulty grasping how that ties into the album.
Mhm.
So for me at this point, number one is lost. So in my head, it's not 7 songs, 18 minutes. It's really 6 songs, 17 minutes. So in my head, if you're going to put 7 songs and you're going to release an EP, I want songs from 1 to 7. No intro. I want songs. You
Agreed.
can have a slower song to build up into the album. Sure, I'll take it, but not a 34-second clip of a movie with nothing to it. Now, if you sampled that clip into a song, yes, perfectly fine. But just the clip in and of itself, though
agree.
as much as I enjoyed it, I feel like you wasted a slot in that 7-song EP for that.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, look, we're gonna get into the scores, but I take off points based on stupidity like that, and I'm gonna call it stupidity because I want a song. I rather have a song that lasts 1 minute than have an intro that lasts 1 minute.
Before we give our review, before our score, I should say, because a lot of artists are releasing these EP type of albums, should we start giving scores based like an EP score rather than an album score? I feel like that would be more fair.
No,
Because if we're rating an EP the same way we rate an album, but normally the albums that we rate are 11, 12 songs, 45 minutes, it's not fair. Because everything we're going to have no choice but to deduct points because it's short.
well, yeah, but still, at the end of the day, you're right, but I'm gonna base my score on the product. And if the product lacks due to an intro, or if the product lacks due to not having as many songs that it should, and me wanting more, then you're gonna lose points. It
All
sucks.
right, and I'm going to rate it as an EP.
So then you do it your way. I'm gonna do
Yep.
it my way, and my
Okay.
score for this is going to be a 7/10.
Yep, that I'm not surprised that that's your score. It's overall it's pretty, I don't want to say it's higher than what I thought you were going to give it. But it's a pretty good score considering the shortcomings that you find with this album. It's pretty good.
I want more.
Uh,
Fuck.
I get it. For me, as an EP, I'm rating this as an EP from now on, unless you give me 9, 10, 11 songs, and unless you cross like the 35-minute mark, I'm rating it as an EP every time. So for an EP, I'm gonna rate this as an 8/10.
Yeah, and I had a feeling that you were, and that's why we did this one first, because you being a huge fan of these two, and I knew you were gonna love the production. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that score. And shout out to Denny LaFleur, shout out to Wavy the God, and shout out to Chuck Strangers for the other songs on this project. They blended super well with the Nicholas Craven tracks.
Yes,
and
it was a good project. There's no song on here that felt out of place. There's no song that felt like it shouldn't be on this. There wasn't like necessarily theme, but there was a good flow, good pacing through this. It was a very solidly put together project. There's nothing, no highs, no lows. Yeah, it was just solid from top to bottom. I could have done without the intro personally. I could have put a song there if they had like one that they were working on. That's what I would have put there. But other than that, that's it.
second and final project of the evening. By the way, this is the first time we do 2 projects this year. Larry June, Currency, completely produced by The Alchemist, with, I would say, one of the best EP album titles, Spiral Staircases. Because to me, whenever there's a Currency project or there's an Alchemist project, you're gonna get a name that it's a head scratcher. Why is it called Spiral Staircases? you get to understand when you listen to the project. You get to understand how these guys work. Just having a title like that and how it stands out and how it just could be a lifestyle. And them having spiral staircases in their house are just a whole concept behind it. And the album cover is basically just that, with a huge window looking out and you see palm trees.
I love that that's what you see with that album cover.
What do you see?
I see the Fibonacci sequence.
I don't know what that means.
The Fibonacci sequence is you start at 1, then 1 and 1 is 2, 1 and 2 is 3, 3 and 2 is 5. And when you put the Fibonacci sequence together, it makes a spiral.
Well, Derek, you're smarter than me.
That's all I see this, and I have not. So I'll kick this one off just because I feel like you're gonna have a little bit more to say to myself. When I started listening to this, I didn't see the album cover. So I do need to preface by saying that I didn't see the album cover. I just put play on this and then I just got to work on it. With that being said, now that I've seen the album cover, it makes me want to go back to it and see what I've missed. See if my theory about this Fibonacci sequence is in there. See if there's any reference to it or anything like that, because that's what I get visually when I see this. It might not have been the attention, but I find it very curious how like perfectly framed it is. So I'm curious to see if I was right on this. But to be perfectly honest, this album for me, after listening to the other one that I felt was a little bit more catchy, a little bit more soulful, a little bit more higher energy, getting into this for me, it felt a little bit more flat personally, and it was a little bit hard from a production standpoint. And I do need to say, absolutely love The Alchemist. I do think he's one of the best ones out there. But coming from the more higher energy of the previous EP, this one to me just felt a little flat. It felt a little bit more late night, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more jazzy, and a little too slow for my liking at this point. With that being said, I'm not super familiar with Currency either. A little bit more familiar with Larry June, but I'm not too familiar with Currency. So that for me took a while of just like, who is he? How does he do his things? I wish I would have heard more Currency in the past. That maybe would have made me appreciate it a little bit more. Just understanding where these artists are coming from. I find it hard to listen to albums, especially hip hop, because someone is responsible for the music or the production in this case, and then someone is responsible for the lyrics, rather than when a band performs, it's sort of kind of like all mellows into one. For a hip hop album, I listen to both those things independently, and it helps me, having heard previous projects, to understand that artist a little bit better and to understand how they fit into this project and what do they bring to the table. Are they lyricists? Are they flow masters? What do they bring to it? Energy or whatever it is. And having not heard Currency, I feel like it definitely hurt my project in this. Also, for some reason, this project coming off of the other one felt long.
Wow.
It felt long. And it might just be because everything was a little bit slower. So like, because I felt like the beats were a little bit more slow and a little bit more cadenced, it did feel like the album was longer than it was. And also I'm looking at the songs, and we have like a 3 minutes and 30-second song, 3 minutes 29, 3 minutes 42, 4 minutes and 14 seconds. Lately in the hip hop space, that's pretty long for a hip hop song. Overall, like, it's pretty long. We're used to seeing the 250, 245, 230-ish range with like the last few projects that have been coming out. So this one, I think that didn't help for me to feel that overall, like, the pacing of the album. With that being said, I want to go back to it with maybe a little bit more of a clear mind. I'm curious to see what you're going to say about it, because it might make me understand certain things. But yeah, that's where I am with this one.
Derek, I get it. I absolutely get it. But I'm going to disagree with you, because
I know.
To me, this is, out of the two albums, this is the standout project. The last couple of Alchemist projects to me have felt very flat. I haven't been impressed with the production. He did the Arm and Hammer album last year. He did the Alfredo 2 album. Everything's been falling very flat for me. I've also haven't been so interested in the artist that he's been producing for, and when he does with the artist that I am interested in, they fall flat. Now, I was going into this project with zero expectations. Currency to me is a great artist, a great artist. I love how he approaches production. Okay. Larry June, he's fallen kind of flat the last couple of times with his projects. Me and Malenko and Trap have reviewed numerous amounts of his projects. So again, I was going into this with no expectation. I was not blown away. I was just really into the body of work that they gave me with these 7 songs. There was no intro. It was just 7 songs of music, 7 songs of collaboration. None of it felt rushed. At the beginning of the episode, I was talking about albums that were feeling rushed. I don't find this one, compared to Manhunt, felt rushed. Yes, am I expecting 3 more songs on here? Absolutely, 110%. Because again, after the song number 7, I wanted more because it felt so good listening to this. It was these 2 guys. You have to understand that Larry June and Currency aren't going to give us different sounding albums. They're going to work with different producers to get a different feel, but it's always going to be around the same type of energy. On here, you start off with Stars on the Roof. Perfect, jazzy, just laid back type of beat where it starts off with Larry June that gets into Currency. I find these 2 guys flowing together over an Alchemist beat at this level of Alchemist production is amazing. Amazing. And I'm going to say this, and fuck, I might even get shot for saying this. I think one of Alchemist's best collaborators is Currency. And Currency's best collaborator or producer that he's ever worked with is Alchemist. And this is what you get out of it. You get this type of energy, this type of laid back. It's even so hard to explain how I feel when I listen to this, because it's like when you put on a jazz album or if you put on a soul album. It's laid back. You're just into it differently than you're into a Manhunt album or other projects that we listen to. There's no aggression on this. It's just great energy. Like Spiral Staircase is just the title track on here. You get such a great energy on it, but then comes in Alchemist type of drums. It's a heavier drums, but the way they flow on it it just balances out well, if that makes sense. And
yeah, it makes sense.
And like Currency, you have to understand, Currency could flow on any type of beat. The beat could be an electronic beat, but just his flow makes it work. Larry June, like when he sings on here, like just that singing melody that it gives to you, it's just amazing. It's just so fun. I don't even have anything more to say. Like it's more of a sunny type of vibe. I'm feeling good about myself, whether it's because I'm stoned, because the Currency just talks about his cars, it talks about having money, talks about women, talks about getting high. Larry June talks about having money, having nice cars, women, and drinking smoothies. Like that's
their Currency.
It's exactly that's
what they deal with.
Exactly. And Alchemist just gives you the soul, the jazzy, the flute, the trumpets, that whole, aesthetic that he used to put into his production. And I find this is some of his best production of the last couple of years on here. And like, I don't know. It's kind of like you get, I don't know. It's just feel good music. You know when you're really feeling it. That's what that's what this project brings to me, and it's just driving around music. You wake up in the morning. This is an album here, Derek. The way I feel about this, I keep saying album EP is when I don't know what I want to listen to. If I put this on, I'm not going to skip a song. I'm just going to let it play through. You have to understand these guys are not aggressive rappers. They're laid back stoners that talk about their cars, their collection, and what they go through. They're so detailed in their rhymes that they're literally going step by step with us on what they're doing in that time frame.
And I appreciate that. It's not that I don't appreciate it. I think I love music in a very emotional and visceral kind of way.
Yeah.
And the mood that I have that day, like there's some days that I'm in the mood for something and other days that I'm not in the mood for it. And I listened to this over 2 days, and it was just not my vibe at that time.
And that's fine.
I try to not let it impact my score. I genuinely do. But because these were like EPs, because they weren't full length albums, I didn't listen to this at like different times in the day, or I didn't listen to this over like a week or a week and a half or something along those lines, where like sometimes an album's going to hit me more on one day than another day. For me, the 2 days that I listened to this, I might just not have been in the mood. I might have been in one of those like just more like get stuff done, like higher energy kind of mood.
Yeah.
And this just didn't hit. It just didn't hit. If there's one day where I'm maybe a little bit more tired, or I'm maybe a little bit more mellow, or the weekend, because I'm off on the weekends, maybe this is going to hit better. Maybe it will. But you know how it is during the week, the Monday to Friday, you're on the grind, going to work, like it's a get shit done kind of thing, where we're both in the same business of get shit done. And if we don't get shit done, then no one else gets shit done.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's a tougher album to listen to when I'm in a get shit done kind of mood, when I'm in a let's do work kind of mood. It's not the kind of stuff that I put. With that being said, am I going to revisit this at some point when I know I'm in a different kind of headspace? For sure I will. And then I'll put an amendment, and then I'll give it a different score. That's for sure. But yeah, I think it just suffered from me just not being in that headspace this week.
Well, let's go with the scores. And like I mentioned, it's just a really feel good album. It's laid back. It's just like I was listening to before we recorded, and it's fucking snowing outside, and it's dark, and I just really feel.
You're not helping our American friends thinking that it snows all year round in Canada.
By the way, it's been snowing for 6 months, so everybody can go fuck themselves.
With all those people putting their summer tires on, yes, we have seasons to put our tires. People putting their summer tires on because it was March 1st, and then we got a snowstorm like 3 days later.
Did you not notice that we sound like losers with the taking off your snow tires? We have seasons for that, and that it snows 6 times a year, and our country's animal is a beaver.
It's a moose.
No, it's a beaver.
It's a moose.
Well, I don't know what Canada you live in, but mine is a beaver. So let's get to the.
It's a moose. Maybe on a nickel, but on a quarter, it's a moose.
I don't know what Canada.
Anyway, whatever. With that being said, I think some of our American friends that have experienced snow in the last few years will agree that maybe having a pair of summer tires might be a winter tires might be a smart decision.
So my score is going to be a 8 on 10.
Not surprised by that. My score is going to be a 6.5 on 10.
Not surprised by that.
Yeah, I'm not, and I'm not surprised by your score either. But I will put a little asterisk on there. This 6.5 is not a pure 6.5. It is not me rating the project completely. It is me understanding that I was not also in the right mood or in the right headspace to listen to this and to truly appreciate it. That's why it has that score. It's the only reason why it has that score, and I do want to preface by saying it. It is in no way, shape, or form a reflection of the work. It is merely a reflection of myself at the time that I listened to this project.
Hey, to each their own, as they say, right?
Absolutely.
Before we get up out of here, I just want to say a rest in peace to Chuck Norris. And I just need to. I saw one of the funniest jokes ever. And remember when
Chuck Norris isn't dead, by the way. He just he's finally gonna go one-on-one versus God.
Listen to this one. When Chuck Norris tells a joke about Will Smith's wife, Will Smith stands up and slaps his wife. On that note,
that's God.
If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. Press that button, subscribe. More content on the way every Monday. Derek, it's been a pleasure. Oh yeah, we got some stickers too.
Got some stickers coming up. We're working on a whole bunch of little fun stuff for some of our fans and ourselves, and trying to really get the brand out there. So the more that you like and subscribe, the more it gets our name out there, and the more it gets our name out there, the more fun little kind of things we do like this. This is 100% straight out of pocket. We make no money with this podcast whatsoever. We spend the money because we genuinely enjoy doing this. So yeah, like and subscribe. Helps us out. We like it.
See you again. Peace.